Now we get to do the third whole movement, which is called suspended balance. And we're going to do the first individual movement with this whole movement, that it is called suspended spiral. So I'm just going to do it, and then we will show you the details, and we'll tell you the purpose and meaning of the movements. Okay? So we'll start in 0 point, the same place that we have completed before. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Movement that we just have done has many different practical practices and points of references that is going to help you enormously in the hips. And you start with the same movement, inflowing wave and foundation. And then from foundation, remember that we always will raise the energy. And sometimes we use the word spiraling within to allow to know that we are raising from the pelvic floor. Sometimes we use the word also brushing, like the energy, your arms and the diamond moving through you is racing through the centers of you. So remember that that's a detail that you are beginning to internalize, that as you ascend from foundation, you're always going up through the centers. So it's not just your arms that are moving, but your arms are facilitating the foundation and all the centers and the placements of the vertebrae moving through the spiraling, always vertically. Okay? So from this movement, as I said, we start and descend the inflowing wave foundation, we raise the energy, and we're going to go to the suspended diamond. So just before we get to define the suspended diamond, at count 3, just because 3 becomes 4, at count 3, the diamond becomes just connecting you, going vertical, and then the arm opens the whole range around you. And as the arm opens around you, your pelvis rotates around, and it allows you to arrive to a placement of symmetry again, with the pelvis completely into an inner arc. Remember when we said before to release here the legs, it's the same place. And as your pelvis moves back around and you define symmetry, then your legs become free there. And that's where you're looking, to be able to sense that once you arrive to 0 point, that 0 point becomes again a definition that your legs eventually in your practice are going to be even free in 0 point. It's not like you're really tight in here or that you're encrusted, but you're learning to allow the joints to slide and the spine to come vertical. So the movement as it begins again, it begins in foundation, it begins in 0 point, it goes into inflowing wave, arrives to foundation, raises the energy for 3 counts, it opens the arm, that it becomes a suspended diamond, arrive to symmetry, and then from here, as it returns around in the direction that you are coming from, as the arm opens, the energy of the arm and the spine in a spiral matches the arm that is connecting to the floor. So as the spiral matches, just before you get into moon, which will be at the level of here, the other arm begins to bring you back, and it brings you back to the place of symmetry. And you are in 0 point moon. And then from then, you descend to foundation, which will raise in the energy, and just before, you're going to definitely define the suspended diamond. But when the suspended diamond becomes part of you, you're opening the energy, you allow the rolling to get you back, and you are in symmetry. And you know that you're in symmetry because you will feel that your legs are loose right here. And then, as you continue with the movement, you're going around, and the spine becomes, in an inner arc, becomes a spiral again. So from here, the spiral, before it gets to moon, bring the other spiral, and here you are, the definition of moon, 0 point. And then you're descending. So you do first one side, first this side, the second side, and then the third side. The first time you complete and crown. And now, the way you already know this movement, you go to the sphere of earth, you just release the pelvic floor around, and here you are in suspended spiral, right here. And this is a place in the rolling. If you were to continue rolling, you would just continue rolling back. So it's a place that will prepare you, because in this particular place, you are arriving to the place that your lower back is ready to really release through you. Remember that you are not arriving to a place in which your back is extended that way, because then you can roll. You are discovering the inner arc again from here, right here. So it's almost like time for you to roll back if you want to, but you're not. You're right here. And then when you return from it, where your fingers are is the other side of the pelvic floor. So right here. If I go here, you see, I will be right here in the back of the spine. Here, I will be right here in the surface. Right here, inside of me, correspond to the pelvic floor. So from the fingers right here, I bring the pelvic floor up, and here I am at the 0 point, ready to complete the last part of the movement. Okay? So let's do it now. Again, as it is, and just follow it, and just begins to see it, how it plays. Okay, let me get the metronome, and then we'll do it together. Metronome. Wonderful. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. We're going to do this movement again, this time with the metronome. And I would like to tell you that when we do it the third time, the first time is opening to the center and it goes this way, and the second time going the other way to the center and opening that way. And the third time, when it goes from crown and it releases back into the suspended spiral, we're spending 2 counts here, just in stillness, just for you to be able to, for us to be able to sense that we are suspended and the legs are free before we return to complete the movement and moon into moon. Okay, so let's do it together. Here we go. 7, 8. Just a little bit more clarification about this movement. You know that the first time that we do it, as we go from foundation into the suspended diamond, that it never gets truly completed. Remember that the suspended diamond, when it's defined symmetrical, becomes this very powerful diamond that allows us to open the throat and define the metrics. And here we are a little bit softer, because just before we define it, we start moving sideways in order to open the energy and moving the hips around to get to foundation and the suspended spiral right here. Yeah? So the first completion, the first movement arrives to moon. And then from then we go around the crown to foundation. So remember, when then the second movement again goes to the suspended diamond, it opens the energy and it arrives to suspended spiral right here. So this is a very important definition, because you define symmetry from one instant before you become asymmetrical again, and then you define symmetry the second time to the moon, and you come back to foundation. Now when you're doing the third movement, we go to crown first, because we wanted to not to move from the moon back, because since we are symmetrical, if we're moving from the moon back, it's more likely that we're going to bring your shoulders back, and then you are not going to roll from the pelvic floor. So, and here, since we move in diagonal, it's easy because that already activates the pelvis. But in here, we return to, go to crown, and then from earth, which is the beginning of the pelvic floor, the foundation, then we can move the pelvis back to define symmetry. And then from symmetry, we'll come back again back to the moon. So remember that the first two movements are really going to moon. The third movement is going to crown. And the reason that we do that, as I said, because if we move back symmetrically, it's much more likely that we're going to push the torso back, and therefore not to move from the pelvic floor rolling. So from earth, it's much more likely that you're going to move from the pelvic floor. Yeah. Also, I wanted to tell you that when we go to moon and we go descending again to foundation, it's this movement that we're talking to you barely before. Before we did it in a double time. Remember, before from moon, we went 4 counts around the crown to earth, and then the inflowing wave. So that path, it took us 8 counts. Now it only takes 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason it's so intricate in it is because it's an inner wave coming back into you, and an inner wave that assists you to move the spine from the vertical extension to the inner arc. Because then from the inner arc, either you're going to go to outflowing wave, or you're going to ascend up to go back to the same movement. So remember that the third time that you do the motion, you go to crown, and then from crown, from earth, you go symmetrically into the suspended spiral. Okay? So I would like to do it now diagonal, so you can see it a little bit more, or different angle, and then we go from there. Here we are. Lovely. I have sound. I have everything. 5, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Suspend the spiral. 1, 2, 3. Moon. Around the crown, inflowing wave, foundation, ascending through center, suspend the diamond, opening the energy, releasing the pelvis, arriving to suspend the symmetry. The other side, returning to moon, and now as we go inflowing wave, foundation, outflowing wave, crown. Now earth, allow me to begin in the pelvic floor. I move the pelvis, legs become released, and I'm suspended, suspending the spiral. Returning to free moon, inflowing wave, foundation, complete, and crown.